The Magellan Voyage, the most ambitious road trip in history. In 1519, a Portuguese navigator convinced the Spanish king to fund what was essentially a Renaissance-era startup with the worst business plan ever. Let's sail west to reach the east, take a route no one's ever survived, and maybe, we'll find some spices. Spoiler alert, of the 270 men who left Spain, only 18 made it back. But they accidentally did something no human had ever done before. They went all the way around the planet. This is the story of how Ferdinand Magellan's voyage became the most significant "I told you so" moment in maritime history, even though he didn't live to say it. So here's the situation. It's 1519, and spices are basically the cryptocurrency of the Renaissance. Portugal controlled the eastern route to the Spice Islands, and Magellan, Portuguese by birth, got totally ghosted by his home country after they rejected his proposal. So he did the ultimate power move. He went to Spain and pitched King Charles I on stealing Portugal's spice monopoly by sailing west. On September 20th, 1519, 5 ships departed from Sanlúcar de Barrameda. But before they even left Spanish waters, a fast ship caught up with them carrying a warning from Magellan's own father-in-law. Watch out for treachery among your crew. Imagine getting that text message on day 1 of your road trip. Talk about foreshadowing. By December, they reached Rio de Janeiro, which Magellan called Santa Lucia because he arrived on St. Lucy's Day. The crew traded European goods for food and water with local tribes because somehow these Europeans couldn't pack enough snacks for a round-the-world trip. By March 1520, they sailed so far south that winter storms forced them to hunker down in Puerto San Julián, Argentina. And this is where things got, and not in the good way. On April 1st, 3 captains launched a mutiny: Quesada, Mendoza, and Cartagena. Even Juan Sebastián Elcano, remember that name, joined the rebellion. Magellan's response was swift and brutal. Quesada was executed. Cartagena and a priest were marooned on the coast. Basically Renaissance-era, fired and left a 1-star Yelp review. The 40 other mutineers, including Elcano, got pardoned. Then, just to add insult to injury, they sent the ship on a scouting mission, and it got wrecked in a storm. They were down to 4 ships. But on October 21st, 1520, Magellan found it, the Cape of the 11,000 Virgins, now called the Strait of Magellan. On November 28th, they emerged into the Pacific with only 3 ships. One had deserted during the strait crossing, basically rage-quitting the expedition. For more than 3 months, they saw nothing but ocean. The crew ate worms, rats, sawdust, and leather soaked in water. 19 men died of scurvy, and 30 more became desperately ill. They found 2 barren, uninhabited islands that Magellan appropriately named the Unfortunate Islands. No notes, perfectly named. This wasn't just a voyage, it was a floating horror show where rats were considered a delicacy and your dinner options were leather or the ship itself. Then, at dawn on March 16th, 1521, they sighted land, the island of Samar in what would become known as the Philippines. The next day they landed on Homonhon, and on March 18th, something incredible happened. People from the neighboring island of Saluan welcomed these starving, scurvy-ridden strangers with bananas, fish, coconuts, and palm wine. After months of eating sawdust, this must have felt like a Michelin star restaurant. A typhoon forced them south to Butuan Bay, where on March 28th, they met Raja Colombo, who was literally out hunting when these weird European ships showed up. Instead of attacking, he welcomed them. The next day, they performed a blood compact, the first recorded in the country, sealing their friendship. On March 31st, the first Catholic Mass in the Philippines was celebrated on Limasawa Island. Colombo then directed Magellan to Cebu, ruled by Raja Humabon. On April 7th, another blood compact. On April 14th, another Mass, where Magellan planted a wooden cross that still exists today. Humabon's wife, Hara Amihan, baptized as Queen Juana, received a sculpture of the Santo Niño, which became the foundation of the Sinulog tradition. Everything was going surprisingly well, which meant it was about to go catastrophically wrong. On April 27, 1521, Magellan decided to get involved in local politics by attacking Datu Lapu-Lapu on Mactan Island. He brought 60 Spaniards and 1,000 Cebuano warriors. Lapu-Lapu had 1,500 men who knew the terrain and weren't interested in European interference. Magellan was hit by a poison arrow in his right leg, then a bamboo spear pierced his face. He fell, and Lapu-Lapu's warriors finished him off. Lapu-Lapu became the first Filipino hero to fight for freedom, while Magellan became a cautionary tale about overconfidence. The survivors, now led by Elcano, yes, the same guy who mutinied, burned one ship and pushed west. One vessel, the Victoria, made it home with 18 men. They'd proven the earth was round, massive, and that Filipino warriors don't mess around. Magellan's voyage connected two worlds across the Pacific, changed global trade forever, and showed that the greatest discoveries often come from the most disastrous journeys. Not bad for a trip where 93% of the crew didn't make it back alive.